Hey there, it's Imran and you're watching Imran Plus. We are just days away from Thor Love and Thunder being released in theaters. We have come such a long way from the first Thor movie that was released in 2011, and Thor has been through quite the journey in the MCU. So in order to prepare and recap everything that Thor has been through, here is everything you need to know before. Thor embarks on a journey unlike anything he's ever faced, a quest for inner peace. However, his retirement gets interrupted by Gorr the God Butcher, a galactic killer who seeks the extinction of the gods. When we first meet him, Thor, the god of thunder and the son of Odin, king of Asgard, is preparing to ascend to the throne when the coronation ceremony is suddenly attacked by frost giants, who have secretly been let into Asgard by Thor's brother Loki, the god of mischief. Seeking retaliation, and impulsive and overconfident, Thor decides to confront the leader of the Frost Giants, Laufey, on Jotunheim. He takes Loki and his childhood friends with him, which include Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, Volstagg, Fandral, and Hogun. Thor starts a battle with the Frost Giants, which gets out of hand, requiring Odin to interfere and save them. This breaks the delicate truce between Asgard and Jotunheim and creates an enemy out of Laufey and the Frost Giants. As punishment for his arrogance, Odin exiles Thor to Earth and strips him of his power. He also sends Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, to Earth, bound by a spell that only someone who is truly worthy can wield it and its power. Thor lands in the New Mexico desert, where he is accidentally run over by astrophysicist Dr. Jane Foster, who is conducting wormhole research in the desert along with her assistant Darcy Lewis and her mentor Dr. Erik Selvig. Now, you might recognize Darcy from WandaVision, which takes place many years after the first Thor movie and is where we see that Darcy has leveled up to a doctorate of astrophysics herself. Back to the events of Thor. Nearby, S.H.I.E.L.D. agents Nick Fury and Phil Coulson have found and set up a camp around Mjolnir in order to investigate it. Thor sneaks in and unsuccessfully tries to retrieve Mjolnir because he finds that he is no longer worthy to wield it. Thor decides to make peace with being on Earth and falls in love with Jane Foster. Meanwhile, on Asgard, Loki, after learning that he was adopted by Odin and is actually the son of Frost Giant leader Laufey, takes the throne from Odin and sends the Destroyer, an indestructible automaton, to Earth to kill Thor and his friends, who have traveled to Earth to warn Thor about Loki's betrayal. After fighting with the Destroyer to near death, Thor proves himself worthy of wielding Mjolnir and regains his power. He defeats the Destroyer and returns to Asgard to defeat Loki. Loki reveals his true plan was to destroy Jotunheim with a Bifrost Bridge to prove himself worthy to Odin. The Bifrost Bridge is what allows Asgardians to travel anywhere in the 9 realms. Thor decides to destroy the Bifrost Bridge in order to stop Loki, even though it means he is stranded on Asgard away from Jane. Odin awakens from his healing sleep and saves Thor and Loki from falling into the abyss caused by the Bifrost Bridge breaking. Odin denies Loki's request for validation and approval, causing Loki to let go and fall to his seeming death. In the aftermath, Thor tells Odin he is not ready to be king. Meanwhile, on Earth, we learn that Loki is alive and has actually taken control of Dr. Erik Selvig in order to access the Tesseract, which later is revealed to house the Space Stone. Loki uses the Tesseract to try and take over and rule Earth on behalf of Thanos in the 2012 film The Avengers. He is defeated by the newly formed Avengers in the film and is taken back to Asgard by Thor to face punishment. In Thor: The Dark World, the second Thor film, Jane and Darcy stumble upon portals that are disrupting the laws of physics around them. These portals are caused by the Convergence, which is a rare alignment of the 9 realms, creating a connection between them all. Jane is teleported by one of these portals to another world where she is possessed by the Ether, an ancient weapon powered by the Reality Stone. Heimdall, the gatekeeper of the Bifrost Bridge on Asgard, who can see all things in the universe, alerts Thor about Jane's disappearance and reappearance on Earth. Thor travels to Earth and finds Jane, who unknowingly releases a surge of otherworldly power, which makes Thor take Jane to Asgard. We learn that the Ether is slowly killing Jane, and that it has awoken Malekith, a dark elf who tried to harness the power of the ether many eons ago. Malekith attacks Asgard, sensing that Jane contains the ether. Frigga, Thor's mother, protects Jane from Malekith, but is fatally stabbed as a result. Malekith and his army flee, and Thor reluctantly decides to ask Loki for help. Thor and Loki are able to lure Malekith with Jane and trick him into extracting the ether out of her. However, Thor is unable to destroy the ether before Malekith absorbs it into himself. Malekith, now powered by the ether, escapes, while Loki is stabbed and dies in Thor's arms, who promises to tell Odin about Loki's sacrifice. Thor and Jane eventually return to Earth and meet up with Dr. Erik Selvig, who was briefly institutionalized due to the mental trauma he suffered while being possessed by Loki in Avengers. Malekith plans to unleash the ether at the center of the convergence in order to restore the Dark Elves' rule over all 9 realms. Thor is ultimately able to defeat Malekith, and the convergence ends without any consequence. Upon returning to Asgard, Thor once again declines Odin's offer to take the throne and tells him of Loki's sacrifice. However, it's revealed that Loki is in fact alive and is actually impersonating Odin. Although Thor and Jane are in a relationship at the end of this film, this is the last time we see Jane Foster in the MCU, as Thor and Jane break up after this film. So expect Thor Love and Thunder to fill in the gaps of what happened to Jane from when we last saw her. In addition to his own adventures, Thor is a founding member of the Avengers and has helped the Avengers deal with multiple threats such as Ultron in Avengers Age of Ultron. During the events of this film, Thor learns of the 6 Infinity Stones and that they are being sought by Thanos. He also learns of a prophecy that Asgard will be destroyed, and so returns to Asgard, which brings us to the 3rd Thor film, Thor Ragnarok. 2 years after the Battle of Sokovia in Avengers Age of Ultron, Thor is imprisoned by the fire demon Surtur, who reveals that Thor's father, Odin, is no longer in Asgard. Surtur boasts about how once he unites his crown with the eternal flame, he will fulfill his role in destroying Asgard, causing Ragnarok, aka total annihilation. Thor manages to escape and kill Surtur, taking Surtur's crown with him to Asgard, thinking that Ragnarok has been averted. Upon returning to Asgard, Thor finds Heimdall missing and realizes that Loki is in fact alive and has been impersonating Odin this whole time. Thor exposes Loki and forces him to take them to Odin, who Loki said he left on Earth. On Earth, they get help from Doctor Strange to locate Odin, who we find is in Norway. Odin is at the end of his life, and just like for many others on their deathbed, it's time for Odin to make some confessions. In his final words, Odin explains that Ragnarok is imminent, despite Thor's efforts to avert it. He also reveals he had a daughter before Thor and Loki named Hela, who has been sealed in a prison due to her unquenchable thirst for power. Odin warns that she will be set free once he dies, but he also tells Thor and Loki that he's proud of both of them and that Asgard is a people, not a place. Odin dies and immediately Hela arrives, destroying Mjolnir. Thor and Loki try to escape through the Bifrost Bridge, but Hela follows and throws them out into space. Hela arrives on Asgard, killing the entire Asgardian army. She uses the eternal flame to resurrect her ancient dead army that once fought alongside her and Odin, whose peaceful reign was preceded by a violent and bloody crusade throughout the 9 realms. Hela plans to use the Bifrost Bridge to once again expand Asgard's empire and return Asgard to rulers of the 9 realms. But she finds that the sword which opens the Bifrost is missing because it has been stolen by Heimdall, who has created a safehold for Asgardian citizens away from Hela. Kicked out of the Rainbow Bridge, Thor crash lands on Sakaar, a garbage planet surrounded by wormholes. He is sold to Sakaar's ruler, the Grandmaster, to be a competitor in the Grandmaster's Contest of Champions by Scrapper 142, who Thor recognizes as a Valkyrie, a legendary member of female warriors sworn to protect Asgard. Scrapper 142, aka Valkyrie, reveals that she is the last remaining member of the Valkyrie, as the others were all killed by Hela many eons ago. Thor finds that Loki also landed on Sakaar before him and has gained the favor of the Grandmaster, but Loki refuses to help Thor. Forced to compete in the Contest of Champions, Thor comes face to face with Hulk, who after the events of Avengers Age of Ultron flew an Avengers Quinjet into space because he was guilty of all of the lives lost and damage caused by his own hands. However, in space, Hulk entered a wormhole and ended up on Sakaar, becoming the Grandmaster's champion. Thor asks for Hulk's help to escape, but Hulk refuses. Thor then finds the Avengers Quinjet that Hulk arrived on, but it is damaged by Hulk. However, a recording of Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, causes Hulk to transform into Bruce Banner for the first time since he had left Earth. The Grandmaster sends Loki and Valkyrie to capture Thor and Hulk, but the four of them instead join forces and escape Sakaar along with two new friends, Korg and Meek. They all return to Asgard and fight Hela while trying to evacuate the Asgardian citizens that Heimdall has been protecting. Thor levels up after losing his eye and soon realizes that Ragnarok is the only thing that can defeat Hela. So he sends Loki to unite Surtur's crown with the Eternal Flame, unleashing a reborn Surtur who destroys Asgard with Hela inside. Thor and the remaining Asgardians manage to escape and decide to resettle on Earth in Norway. Before they can get far, however, they are attacked by Thanos' ship. Thanos subdues Thor and extracts the Space Stone from the Tesseract after overpowering the Hulk and truly killing Loki. Thanos also kills Heimdall, but not before Heimdall uses his last magic to send Hulk to Earth via the Bifrost. This leads to the films Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where Thanos manages to collect all 6 Infinity Stones and wipes out half of the population in the universe with a snap of his fingers. The Avengers try to make Thanos undo his snap with the help of Captain Marvel, but it's too late because Thanos has already destroyed the stones. Thor is particularly devastated because he had the chance to almost kill Thanos using a new weapon, Stormbreaker, forged by the same forge that created Mjolnir and Thanos' gauntlet. However, because he didn't aim for Thanos' head, Thanos was still able to snap his fingers and complete his plan, which sends Thor into deep depression. 5 years passed since the snap, and we learned that the Asgardians have settled in Norway, where Thor lives with Korg and Meek, drinking beer and playing video games. The Avengers reunite and devise a plan to go back in time to retrieve intact Infinity Stones in order to reverse Thanos' snap themselves. Thor and Rocket Raccoon, a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy, are sent back in time to Asgard during the events of Thor: The Dark World in order to extract the Ether, aka the Reality Stone, from Jane Foster, who is on Asgard. While on Asgard, Thor runs into his mother Frigga, who knows that he is from the future, and they have a heart-to-heart conversation which helps Thor heal and regain his confidence. The Avengers are able to bring everyone back using the new Infinity Stones, but a past version of Thanos follows them into the future and overpowers them. In the final battle between the Avengers and Thanos, everyone is able to work together to defeat Thanos, with Tony Stark sacrificing himself in order to erase Thanos out of existence. At the end of Avengers Endgame, Thor appoints Valkyrie as the king of New Asgard and leaves with the Guardians of the Galaxy to embark on a new adventure in space. And that brings us to Thor Love and Thunder, which will pick up right where we left off with Thor joining the Guardians of the Galaxy. So now you know everything you need to know before watching Thor Love and Thunder. Expect to see Thor continue his journey with the Guardians, as well as the return of both Valkyrie on New Asgard and Jane Foster, who mysteriously has new powers. Let me know what you thought of this breakdown video, and if you're going to go see Thor Love and Thunder, what are you excited most about seeing, and what do you hope to get out of this new chapter? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time. Lots more videos coming soon, but in the meantime, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos, and don't forget to share this video with your friends and fellow movie enthusiasts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.